If you want a solid foundation and understanding of how to make yogurt and all the ins and outs of it and the options and the choices, this is going to be a great video for you. All yogurt cultures are going to need a medium to culture in. They need a medium and they need a source of food. Your most common one is going to be cow's milk, but you also have goat's milk, which is what I use, and you have sheep's milk. If you have access to mare's milk or even camel milk, which is becoming more popular now. If you are completely intolerant of all types of milk from an animal, you can use bean milks, which would be soy, grain milks, rice, nuts and seeds, coconut, hemp, sunflower, hazelnut, almond. I have not been successful with any of the nuts and seeds, but I have never had any problem getting a real standard result by using soy milk. So what you really need to look for is you need a medium source that works for your body that is going to culture your bacteria. Milks have lactose in them. If you are only lactose intolerant, you can still use animal milk. You just need to make sure that all of the lactose has been cultured out and eaten by your bacteria, and then they will produce a byproduct. So lactose intolerance is not necessarily a reason for not making yogurt. You just need to culture it much longer to make sure the lactose has all been eaten by the bacteria. Your milks have galactose, which is a disaccharide, and your disaccharide of lactose is both a galactose sugar and a glucose sugar, and that is going to create some of the best results for your bacteria. But if you can't do milk, soy milk is another option. And this is the one I'm going to use today for an example. I've already poured it in here. And if you do soy milk or any other grain, nut, seed, or other type of milk, you want to make sure there are the fewest amount of ingredients in it as possible. You don't want colors, you don't want preservatives, you ideally don't want sugar, you don't want any of that stuff. And I love Eden Soy's unsweetened because it gives me a lot of options to feed my bacteria the way I want to. And as you can see the ingredients on Eden Soy's, it's just purified filtered water with organic soybeans. So that's perfect for what I want. And of all the soy milks, I have found that Eden Soy is the thickest. And so it gives a really nice result at the end. Even if I don't add a thickener such as beef gelatin or something like that to really make it stable, it stays stable quite by itself. Because there is no sugar in my soy milk and my bacteria need sugar to eat, I have put enough sugar in some boiled water. It's now cool, and I can add it to my soy milk. And for each liter of medium, you are going to need at least 2 tablespoons of sugar to add. And you can use table sugar if you are not animal protein intolerant. You could also use lactose, which would be a great source of sugar to add to this, but not if you are sensitive to cow protein. You would not want to use that. So any type of unfiltered organic sugar is going to be great. I like to use organic because I eat organic and I want the bacteria that I'm going to be eating to be organic too. So they get organic sugar. So I put it in here and I made the sugar in the quantity of the water that you saw very small because I didn't want my medium to be more diluted and more liquidy. I wanted it to be thicker. So the least amount of sugar water I add to it, the better. So I'm going to stir it up. And some people really like their yogurt thick. And the I would not suggest using soy milk powder. I have tried that, and the powder for the soy milk created a really pasty layer at the very bottom of my container that was really not edible, and it didn't make the yogurt better. It made it a little bit gritty. So I wouldn't suggest that. You do not want to use honey because honey has bacteria in it and you don't want that contaminating your yogurt as it's culturing, because you don't know what you might be growing. So that is not an option. I did try molasses once because I was anemic and I thought it would be great to get molasses in there, and I knew the bacteria loved high iron content environments, but that was not a good idea. It made it really acidic and very, very powerfully strong, and it wasn't too appealing, so I never did that a second time. Now if you're culturing goat milk, you're going to notice that no matter how high the acidity content of the yogurt is, the acid will never separate from the milk protein solids the way that it does with cow's milk yogurt. The higher the acidity rises with cow's milk, you will, at some point, the water, the whey, the byproduct lactic acid or acetic acid will separate, and it will make your yogurt thicker at the bottom, and you'll have a layer of what looks like water. It'll be very clear and it will be at the top. And it is very good. Don't toss it away. You should be drinking it. It's a little bit acid, but it's great for your body. It really feeds a lot of your physiological responses and can keep you really healthy. So you don't want to throw that away if that happens. But you won't get that with goat's milk. Your goat milk yogurt will be always solid. It never separates. And so you might want to add dry milk to it to create it thicker, so that it's, if that's what you like. If you like to drink your yogurt, then you're going to love it just the way it is. As you noticed, I have this in the container already. I did not boil my soy milk, and I do not boil my animal milk either. I know that that is considered a faux pas in many yogurt makers, but I don't do that. I did it for many years. It's a long process. You wait for it to boil in a big pot, and then you put the pot in cold water in the sink. And one day I just decided to not do that anymore, and I have never had a problem. My yogurt has always consistently been the same, and so I stopped doing it. So now I just use the temperature. I just put it in, and I just put it to work. So there are many ways to incubate your yogurt, and I use the YoGourmet just because the containers are real big. They hold 2 liters of fluid. That way I can really make a lot of yogurt and have to do it less frequently, since I'm a little bit unfriendly with cleanup processes. I like to make them as minimal as possible. So I like to make bigger quantities at a time. So I use this process, and my container goes inside. And there are other options you can look into. Some people who have dehydrators can use those. Those are a great way because they have a thermostat, and you can control very much the temperature inside, and it's very evenly flowing around your dehydrator. Other options are using a seed mat or a reptile mat, because those often also have thermostats on them, and you could put them into a big food cooler that you would take to the beach to keep it at a constant temperature. And sometimes if you're living in a hot environment, you might be able to put it outside in the shade. So that is another option. You want to keep your temperature consistent. So whatever mechanism you decide to use, you want to make sure that the temperature of your yogurt is consistent as you begin the process. I have my digital display thermometer here. It pulls right off, and I can just put it in there, and it gives me a really quick read. And that's kind of how I set things up. The one bone I have to pick about the YoGourmet is that it just heats up and heats up and heats up, and you're culturing for 24 hours or longer than the 8-hour standard that they suggest. Your yogurt may end up being 130 or 140 degrees, which defeats the purpose, because anything above a certain temperature is going to kill your bacteria and kill your yogurt. And you are going to get the best benefits from your yogurt if the cultures are alive. So what I did was I put my YoGourmet on a 24-hour timer, and the first time I did it, I would come by and I would stick my thermometer in here and take a read. And if it was getting too high, I adjusted my timer to make the electricity go off. And then I would check it again an hour later and see where it was. If it was getting too low, I would turn it back on. And so now my timer for my Yo Gourmet is catered to making yogurt on a 24-hour cycle, because I do culture my yogurt for 24 hours, and I do that so that all the sugar is gone. I like to have all the sugar gone because sugar is one of my allergies, and it is also one of my triggers for my body conditions. So I need all the sugar to be completely cultured out. So I culture for 24 hours. We have our medium and our sugar in here. I have not added bacteria, so we need to look at the options for adding bacteria in here. And you have a lot of options. I have some Yo Gourmet packets here, and these are very good. They're very strong. They have some good strains in them, very classic yogurt strains. And that can be a great way to start. It is quite expensive. They tend to suggest that you use a new packet, 1 packet per liter of yogurt each time you make yogurt, which can be a little bit pricey after a while. So if you do it, you can save your yogurt and use your yogurt as the culturing medium instead of breaking open a new packet each time. The other option, which I really suggest to people, and maybe the most beneficial and most advantageous reason for making your own yogurt, is if you have probiotics that you take that really make a huge difference for your body, you should be using those probiotics in your culturing medium, because you are going to culture the exact things that are helping your body. You're going to introduce them into your digestive tract in a medium and in an environment that they're already alive and thriving. I have chosen Culturelle just because that was the one in my refrigerator right now. I take a lot of probiotics and I culture a lot of them too. I don't particularly like Culturelle when it's cultured. It gives the final yogurt a sort of vinegar-like aftertaste, or a sort of, it gives it a taste that was not appealing to me. But it is an option, and just because I don't like the taste of it doesn't mean that you won't find it absolutely delicious. But I do want to mention that depending on what you're culturing and the exact strain, you are going to get different results, and you may not exactly like them, because the bacteria, as they eat the sugar, they also have waste products. And the waste products are going to be lactic acid for all of your lactobacillus bacteria, or you're going to have lactic acid and acetic acid if you're culturing bifidobacteria. And the different types of bacteria are having very, very different results in your body. The option of, I have made some goat yogurt which was in my refrigerator, and I have made soy, but I am not sensitive to goat milk. So I could take my goat milk yogurt culture here, which is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to add my cultures from my goat milk into my soy milk. And I have mixed soy milk with goat milk and made a combined yogurt with both milks in it, and it's not bad. And so I put in, you only really need to put in 2 tablespoons for each liter. I tend to overdo it a little bit just to be on the safe side. And so you want to put it in here, put it in, you stir it up, get it all mixed around. And there you go. You're pretty much done. You put on the lid. I put the lid on top. I put this on top, and then I plug it in, and it sits there for 24 hours. The next day I come, take it out, and put it in the refrigerator. Your live cultures, once completed in a yogurt form, such as here, are going to keep for 2 weeks. So as long as they are 2 weeks, under 2 weeks old, you can always use them to reculture your next batch of yogurt.